All right, today we're jumping into a really fascinating story coming out of Germany's northernmost state, Schleswig-Holstein. It's about a battle, but one being fought on two totally different fronts against a single enemy, drugs. Okay, let's get into it.
So this is the big question, right? How does a place fight a war on two fronts at once? Because what's happening in Schleswig-Holstein, it isn't just about cracking down on crime, and it isn't just about public health. It's about doing both. So how do you balance being tough with being compassionate? Let's find out.
You know, they call Schleswig-Holstein the land between the seas. And right now, it feels like it's in the middle of a perfect storm. On one side, you've got the authorities dealing with organized crime, with the trafficking that feeds the whole system. But on the other, you've got a massive public health crisis driven by addiction. It's really two sides of the same, very difficult coin.
So let's start with that first front line, the crackdown. Law enforcement there is making it crystal clear that drug trafficking is not going to fly.
A perfect example of this just went down in the city of Kiel. The police didn't just make a few small busts. No, they ran a huge raid that completely took apart what the source described as a professional drug gang.
And the scale of this operation is what's really striking. We're talking about dismantling an entire organized network. They seized kilograms of cannabis, kilograms of ecstasy. This wasn't just some warning shot. This was a serious hit to the local drug supply.
And yeah, there were real consequences. One 38-year-old dealer caught in that net was sentenced to 3 years behind bars. His reason for doing it? He said he was in debt. It's just a stark reminder that even as you have to target the crime, the human stories behind it are almost always way more complicated.
But here's the thing. This fight isn't just against familiar drugs like cannabis. There's a new, and frankly much scarier threat on the rise. And that's a huge reason why that second front, the public health response, is so absolutely critical.
We're talking about synthetic drugs. These are substances cooked up in labs. And the one that has experts in Schleswig-Holstein really worried is crystal meth. It's all part of this growing demand for drugs that people think will boost performance or alter consciousness. But man, they come at a terrifying price.
The psychological toll is just immense. The source even calls the consequences fatal. It leads to this intense dependency, paranoia, even severe psychoses. People who use it can experience a rapid physical and mental decline. This isn't just a problem, it's a public health emergency.
And that terrifying threat brings us right to the second front line. Because for every crackdown, you've got to have a lifeline. And this is where Schleswig-Holstein's approach gets really interesting and innovative.
And here you can see the two strategies laid out plain as day. On one side, you have the crackdown, police raids, court sentences, seizures, all the necessary tools to fight crime. But on the other side, a totally different playbook, digital counseling, mobile support teams on the ground, and petitions to get more help for young people. It's punishment and support, side by side. And we're not just talking about the same old methods here. The source actually calls Schleswig-Holstein a pioneer for developing new ways to offer addiction support. They're actively trying to find new solutions to meet people where they are. So let's break this down. First, they're making support accessible. The State Office for Addiction Issues, the LSSH, they launched this online platform for anonymous counseling across the whole state. Then, they get proactive. They've got mobile support teams going directly to known drug hotspots in cities like Kiel and Lübeck. And finally, they're looking to the future. The state parliament is actually looking at a petition to provide better, more targeted aid for young people. It's a really comprehensive, three-pronged approach.
So, what does this all add up to? Well, it adds up to a fight for hope. A fight that actually recognizes just how complex this whole crisis really is. The bottom line is, their strategy refuses to see this as just one thing. They treat the crime like crime, absolutely. But they also treat addiction and mental health as the connected public health issue that it is, an issue that needs care, innovation, and compassion. And that's where the real hope is. The source material wraps this all up with a really powerful message, aimed directly at anyone out there who might be struggling. It's a crucial reminder that behind all the stats and the raids, these are people. You are not different. You are not alone. It's so simple, but so incredibly powerful. And that brings us right back to where we started, but maybe with a new way of looking at it. Schleswig-Holstein is betting that you need both the crackdown and the lifeline to win. But it leaves us all with one final question to think about. In the long-term fight against addiction, which front line really matters most? The one that punishes the crime or the one that heals the person?